Hello and welcome. This is Japan, and we just had TNA Genesis. It was like an NXT slash event. The NXT did, like show a little bit, but it was definitely like last minute, and it was felt. They did have a pre-show match, which was Adonis versus Jake something. It wasn't much of a match. I think it was just something they threw together at the last minute. So I'm not gonna rate that one because it was like 3 minutes long. Nothing too crazy. It's like if it's cage match doesn't want to rate it, it's hard to rate it on here too. So we'll just jump into things on the show. So technically, it was still pre-show match here, but because it was like I think a more legitimate match was Frankie Kazarian versus I think it was Leon Sutter. Leon, is it Leon? Let me see. I had the cage match report open and then I accidentally minimized it, and that was on the pre-show. So yeah, Leon Slater. Overall, I thought that was a pretty solid match for a 9 minute like just pre-show match. Obviously, Frank and Kazarian's not gonna lose because he has like the call your shot thing, kind of like what I guess like the Money in the Bank. Um, I thought it was a pretty solid pre-show match. I'm gonna put it in B. I mean, it was just like it was there. It served a nice little purpose, got the show started, and I was pretty happy about it. Next up, we have an X Division title match. Now, I don't watch a lot of TNA, but like when I think of X Division, it's like high flying, crazy stunts. It's just like I don't really think of Moose in that type of way, so it's kind of hard for me to see him as champion. What is it? Ace Austin kind of feels more of the person that I would view as like the person I feel is the champion, or like like is the perfect person to be a champion here. I didn't, even in my prediction video, I really didn't think much would change here. I honestly was almost perfect on my predictions. I thought that was pretty crazy for not really watching always the week to week product and only keeping up with major storylines. I thought I was pretty good with that. But yeah, this match I think overall was it was pretty good. It was your opening title match. I don't think it was like right home about, but I definitely think it was in B. It was fun. Moose is big and does some nasty things in the ring with like spears and stuff like that, and just charging. I'm like, it didn't really feel like it felt like more of a weight title match than like an X Division match. I don't know. Maybe it's just because like when I watched TNA the most, the X Division was always like those crazy stunts and crazy high flyers. But it doesn't have to be, but it just definitely felt a little bit different. Then we got the System versus uh, Eric Young and Steve Macklin. Macklin? Yeah, Macklin. I was like, so I gotta make sure that I got the name right because I was looking at it backwards. I had it written in my notes like the opposite way. Yeah, it doesn't really matter. But solid tag match. I want to be honest, wasn't really much to write home about on it. I mean, it was just, it was a solid tag match. They were just kind of honestly kind of filler between honestly both tag matches, the title one now and the one after. So I don't think it was anything crazy. I put it in C. It kind of served a purpose, maybe more for storyline than anything else, but it was kind of small. Then we had the TNA World Tag Team Title match with Spitfire versus what's it? They're both by Elegance, but I don't know if they have like a team name, but I guess it's Team Elegance, I would probably say. Overall, I thought it was serviceable as a match. I only ever really have seen Ash by Elegance as Dana Brooks in WWE, and it wasn't a lot of matches. So I don't think there was anything bad. I like their outfits a lot. Those cowboy outfits. I mean, I'm a big cowboy fan, so like they definitely wanted me for them to win, but I do like the other team a lot better. They went out there and did solid match. I put it in B. It definitely felt a little bit more filler. Again, I feel like with a title match, this is like a weird personal thing, but like if you have a title match that obviously isn't like a squash match, but if it's like supposed to be just a regular solid match, no matter what title it is, it should be over 10 minutes long. I don't know. You just don't give enough time for that, especially in a tag team match. Like I felt this definitely could have used a little bit more icing on the cake. It did feel more filler. But yeah, next up we had I'm gonna I'll be honest here. I'm not a big fan of Tessa Blanchard because of all her outside stuff, but when we're rating the match, it has nothing to do with that. But the crowd did give it to her pretty hard, so I think that also made this match. And I think this is Jordan Grace's last match in the company. This was an insanely long and good match, but like honestly, it cooked really well. The way that they countered a lot of the moves and they made Tessa look really good, which I'm assuming that was the whole point, is to let her go out on top so she can eventually, if they can have the dust settle of all her crap, she's going to be TNA champion probably by the end of the year at this point. Because I don't think anybody ever has said anything bad about Tessa Blanchard's in-ring work. It's just her outside work that needs helping. But yeah, S tier match. This was great. It was definitely match of the night by far. There's nothing that stayed anywhere close to that. It was a good match, 20 minutes long. Like I said, it was just chef's kiss. Then we had the Mike Santana, Josh Alexander I Quit match. Now, I'm going to be honest. The only reason why I probably am going to put a little bit less on this match is I don't really like the I Quit format. It's just kind of dumb because it's like they're gonna throw it all out, and the baby face, is never gonna really lose these matches unless it really fits on the storyline because they can't give up. Like, they have to get it back and stuff. But they had some really cool spots and some really crazy things in this match, so I definitely think it was good. Josh Alexander is pretty solid. I've seen him in a couple matches now, and I'm like, I don't really like his like look, but I like his wrestling style, which is probably more important, honestly, sometimes. But yeah, I put it in A. Honestly, I think in a regular hardcore fashion, this could have possibly slid up to an S tier match if it wasn't for the I quit fin. I think that really stops because then they have to stop and wait for them to say I quit. But then he quit, and then he quit the company afterwards. So that was also insane. So yeah, I didn't expect that. And then we're gonna have three solid matches after here of like title matches, and we had some NXT stuff, which I predicted. If you go back to my prediction video, I was pretty spot on with all of that. At least knowing that stuff would happen because obviously, this was supposed to be a crossover event. So let's go with the TNA Tag Team Championship match. Now, I'm a big fan of the Hardys. I love them growing up. The problem is they are very old, and they still go in there, and they do better than move around better than I can. So I'm not gonna take away from that as least like their ability, but I mean that's what you kind of saw what this match is gonna be. They had Nathan and Axiom on the outside, try to not really interfere, but they were there watching, which will now lead up to a match against them and the Rascals down in TNA. Chef's kiss idea on that one. That's going to absolutely cook. So, it makes sense not to put the titles on the Rascals then, because then it would be like a title for, tag team title match, almost like we're both title, people together. It would make one of the tag teams look weak unless they get attacked or something. But yeah, I think this match was okay. I put it in C. I would say that the Rascals saved it from being the worst match out of all of these, but I feel like, yeah, I was still nearing that bottom of the match card. But hey, I mean, it was still a solid match to have on there, and it makes sense just with the Hardys being there. They were going to struggle to get a high match rating no matter what. Then we had the Clockwork Orange House of Fun match, which was just basically a giant hardcore match. They had some crazy weapons and some crazy spots with that. I honestly thought it was pretty solid. I'm not always into all those type of weapons, and because they just have a lot of spots, but that stapler into the armpit was definitely like that really made me jump. Even though I honestly, we never saw it, we never even know she actually got her, but it was just such a weird spot that like it just made me like, oh my god, I wish, I really don't want to have that happen to me. And then obviously just that through the tables and everything else, this was a solid match. I'm gonna put it in A. I had a lot of fun with it. I thought it was a pretty solid title match too. I've never really seen much matches of both of them. Smash Povich or Rosemary. So I was happy. I was pleasantly surprised. I wish it was actually a little bit longer too. That would have been kind of fun. They were cooking with it. Then we get the title match: Joe Hendry versus Nick Namath. Um, Honestly, I was all along for the ride. I just was watching there with bated breath. I feel like it was one of those weird things. It was kind of like a very similar feeling that I saw when Nakamura was against LA Knight for the U.S. title, where it's like that like it's somebody's last opportunity to really get something, because it's like they still have a little bit of magic left, and if you let that magic go, there's probably no way you're ever gonna get it back. And that's how it felt with Joe Hendry, because it's like he was so phenomenally like over, and everybody loved him for so much of last year, and it's like people still love him, people still believe, but like it was one of those things where it's like if he just loses there, like that's probably the last time he's going to get an opportunity. And he had the deck stacked against him. Frankie Kazarian tried to call his shot. That part, if you would have taken all that out, I really think that would have made the match better. We didn't need JBL coming down. It's fine. It's been like a little ongoing gimmick with him just clotheslining people. That was cool, but it was just like you don't need any of that because it really didn't change any of the ending or really make much of a difference. It was just kind of like a waste of, you know, 2-3 minutes of the outside stuff. But Joe Hendry won, and he is now the TNA champion. So congratulations. And I thought the match was pretty solid. I'm gonna put it in A, mainly just because I feel like it's a B match, but I think because of the stakes and everything that came from it, I think it deserves to kind of go in that A slot. Like I said, I don't always rate these matches in like this perfect technical, like, oh my god, like I'm not doing a 5-star, Dave Meltzer fan here. I'm just doing based off of the story, the feel, everything. So some matches might get a little bit lower or a little bit higher just based off of you watching it and you're just enjoying it. Like some matches can just be enjoyable with having no stakes, and some matches that can be kind of boring matches but having stakes in it can make the match better. I mean, that's what we've seen with WWE's long-term storytelling. So yeah, I'm really excited to continue. I'm glad the first TNA video with the predictions did pretty well, so hopefully this one does pretty solid. I wouldn't mind working on more TNA videos and stuff. I remember watching TNA as a kid, with the six-sided ring, which was really cool and crazy. I really honestly wish they go back to it. It's so unique. But yeah, so this has been Japan. I'll see you guys next time. Bye, guys.